Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I am Ryan Bowling. Thank you all for joining me. What I want to talk about in this video is somewhat of a sequel to the video that I did in reference to Jill Scott's rendering of the national anthem. Now, there has been a ton of controversy over her singing this song, this national anthem, something that is beloved and held dearly by millions of Americans, and changing the lyrics to signify something that is not true in present modern day America. However, the controversy concerning this song is so divided, it's unbelievable. When I did the video on Jill Scott's rendering of the national anthem, to be quite honest with you, I was shocked at most of the comments that I got. I thought that most people would have disagreed with her changing up the lyrics into something terrible. I mean, it was terrible. And that I stand on that opinion. I was shocked. And not only did I get a lot of backlash, if you will, maybe I shouldn't say backlash, but a lot of negative comments on this video that I did with Jill Scott. But other YouTubers have talked about the same thing, and we all agree that Jill Scott's rendering of the national anthem was an atrocity. But it is shocking to me that so many people agreed with Jill Scott changing the lyrics of this beloved anthem. It's shocking to me. And I couldn't help but wonder why. When I gave my commentary when I created the Jill Scott video and in my commentary, I was clear at what I had communicated. I clearly stated in the commentary that there is no current oppression in 2023 America among black people in an institutionalized sense. You may have bouts of it here or there, isolated incidents with some redneck or whatever, or somebody that's just racist, okay? But for the most part, we do not have institutionalized racism in this country. We don't. There is no proof of it. It doesn't exist. That's a lie. Even if you take a company or business and you prove that that company or business is not hiring people simply because they're black, then bring it up in the commentary section, because I don't know of any. I made that clear. And just about every YouTuber that I listen to, and y'all know who I'm talking about, those of you that are conservative or those of you maybe independent that's watching my video, you know what I'm talking about. Bannum T. Tatum and the rest, you know what I'm talking about. We all agree the same on this, of what she did was terrible. But I can't help but wonder why so many people feel that she was totally okay in what she did. What current situations are we having in America that makes these individual black people, or even white people, I wouldn't even say black people because I don't know what race they are or what nationality they are, that make these comments that Jill Scott was totally okay. Okay, because I can't answer every comment because I got over 80 something comments on that video. That's more comments than I've had in months. And I cannot answer every comment. So I try sometimes to answer it on a video. So this video is dedicated specifically to that. Why does so many people, and everybody has their own opinion, but still, this just makes sense to me. Why do so many people believe that she was okay and changing the lyrics of this song and expressing this idea that we are oppressed and we are enslaved? Why would they support that? And you know what I came up with? You know what I theorized? As a matter of fact, let me take back the word theorize. It's not a theory. It's not a theory at all. It's not a theory at all. It's a fact, the way I see it. You're right. Blacks in 2023 America are oppressed. Right now, we're oppressed. But guess who's doing the oppressing? The Democratic Party that we as black people vote for on a significant basis every 4 years or 8 years. Now, you may be asking, how is it, Mr. Boulding, that the Democrats are oppressing us? Well, let's go back a little bit in history. I'll give you a little reminder. It was the Democratic Party that upheld slavery. It was just about every slave master was a Democrat, just about. Okay. When the civil rights movement was initiated, it was the Democrats that fought against it. It was the Democrats that created the Jim Crow laws in the Deep South. It was the Democrats that created the oppressive laws and statutes in the inner cities in the North. Shall I go on? It was the Democrats that created the KKK. And forget about all this, the Republicans switched over to the South. And man, forget about all of that. I'm not going to even go over that. Prior to the 60s, okay? I'm not going to even go over all of that. Prior to the 60s, it was the Democrats doing all of these things. So let's just deal with the real history there. They were the ones in support of slavery. The Republicans then were the ones opposed against slavery. Now, here's the deal with the Democratic Party of today. I do not believe that the modern Democratic Party of today has changed their stripes. A dog does not change its stripes. Doo-doo does not change its smell. I said it. The Democratic Party is a pile of poop, in my opinion. Okay? It doesn't change its smell. Dogs don't change their fur. Lions, what they say, what leopards don't change their spots. All they did was change their tactics, their methods. They're still just as racist as they ever were. How they do it is they get blacks to become dependent on the government to supply all their needs, just like the slave masters in the Deep South, Democrats, okay, got blacks to depend on them. Same scenario, same principle, okay, rather than we change that, same principle, different time. Different tactic, same principle. But we blame it on the Republicans. No, boo-boo. Yes, you are oppressed. You're oppressed. You're oppressed if you keep voting for the Democrats and don't see significant changes in your neighborhood. Why would the Democrats change their policies to help blacks when they know blacks are going to automatically vote for them every 4 years, every 4 to 8 years, stretch it a little bit if they get reelected? They know that. That's how slave masters operate. Slave masters don't have to do much. You want to know what a slave, think about a slave master. Slave masters are skilled at mind control. They know how to break the slave down to the point where the slave has no other option but to look to the master for help in everything. That slave has learned to be helpless. I said this in a previous video. That slave has learned to be helpless. So no matter what happens, no matter what someone says to try to get that slave out of their current situation and show them that there's a way out, that slave will not try to find their way out. They will just sit and die because they have learned to be helpless. Why? Because the slave master has so beaten them down in their mind that they could see freedom but will not go for it. It's the same situation with the black race today in the inner city ghettos. Not all of them. Not all of them. Let me be specific. But you know what I'm talking about. It is the same situation today in the inner cities and urban areas run by Democrats. High crime, high welfare, okay, high unemployment, pregnancies, unwanted pregnancies, rampant in Democratic run cities. Why? Because the people have become so attached to all of the subsidies that the Democrats or the slave masters give them that they have learned to say, hey, I got it made. Why try to get a job? Why go to school? Well, why try to get a job? Go back to why try to get a job? I'm making more money off of these welfare benefits than I ever could getting a job. Now, let me reiterate something here. Let me point something out here. I'm not saying that these young ladies get pregnant just so they can get the welfare check. I'm not saying that. But when your mind is idle and you have nothing to do but to sit up and wait for a check to come every month, what do you expect? Your mind is idle. And the old saying goes, an idle mind is what? The devil's workshop. The people's minds are idle. Their minds are idle, and they sit and wait for their slave master, the Democratic Party, to dish out the benefits that they claim that they want every month or every 2 weeks or how much they get them. That's true oppression. It's not ching, ching, ching. It's ching, ching, ching up here. So if you want to know whether or not black people are oppressed today, everybody's saying, well, Jill Scott, she was okay when she said she's perfectly okay, bruh, and all this kind of stuff. I say, you right. I'll say you right. Jill Scott was right in that sense. Yeah, she was right in that sense. Although she probably don't know it. She was right in that sense because, see, the slave's not supposed to know. Slave just do whatever the master tell them. So Jill Scott was kind of like a slave who sung these foolish lyrics and changed it up, trying to change the national anthem up, not realizing that her slave master, the Democratic Party, placed them thoughts in her own mind. And now she's like singing their praises. That's what slaves do. They don't think for themselves because they've learned to be helpless. And learned helplessness is the strongest form of oppression. Yes, we are. Black people are oppressed. You want to know whether I agree with those that say black people are oppressed. But I'll end the video on this note. Black people are oppressed, but they are oppressed by the Democratic Party. And it is done up here. It affects this through the subsidies and programs that they constantly dish out at black people to keep them locked in. When you getting all this stuff every month, you're not going, for the most part, not all the time, but let's face it, for the most part, that's what you're going to get locked in. You're not going to, why bother? Why bother to go to school? Why bother to get a job? You set. I see this all the time in downtown Cleveland. Yes, I'm going to mention my job because it's all I see. 90% of the time, this is what I see. People walking the street, walking around, sitting around doing nothing, wasting their lives, begging for money, all the rest, wasting their lives. Because Democratic politicians told them to get their votes that you are a victim. Them doggone Republicans are oppressing you. When it is, see, this is what kills me. A person can be so oppressed in their mind that they think that true oppression is taking initiative and taking control of your life. They think that oppression is setting goals for yourself and bettering yourself. They think that oppression is being independent of the government. They literally think that. That's mind control. On the flip side, they think that we free if the government gives me, and I'm not putting anybody down. I've been on welfare three times. I've been on. I know what it's about. You hearing this from someone who knows what it's about, okay? But they They dish this stuff out all the time. They got these people in such a control that they think going out and bettering yourself is actually oppression, and depending on the government to give them handouts is freedom. That's oppression. That's mind control. So I agree. We are oppressed, but we are oppressed by the Democrats and their policies that have enslaved blacks far too long. I'm going to end the video on this note. Lyndon B. Johnson, a true racist. Everybody hooping, hollering, and praising him. That man was an actual racist, but I'm not going to go into the detail of that here. It is stated that he said, was overheard, I think either by a chauffeur or someone close to him, saying this about blacks: I will have those NIGGERSs voting Democrats for 200 years. That's all I'm going to say right there. And if that statement was accurate, which I believe it was, he was right. Blacks been voting for Democrats ever since the 1960s at a 90% rate. And what has it shown for them? What benefits have it shown? How has it bettered the black community? I could do a whole another video on this, but I'm not. I'm going to leave it at that. Yes, we are enslaved. Yes, we are oppressed. But it is by the Democratic Party and their policies. So what do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all, and see you again.